Hello, and welcome back to ohmTown Daily News Show. We are doing part 2 of our show. It's going to be the second half of the 10 articles that we typically have during a show. We're kind of recovering from an incident where the way that I construct the show, I use browser tabs, and one of them crashed and took out the whole show. So this is part 2, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. That said, just to reintroduce everybody, I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmTown.com, and up there is the sentient AI from the future. AI, you want to say hello? Yep. Hello, part 2. Part 1 will remain here on Twitch. It'll actually be over on YouTube as well. And part 2 will be posted there, but the podcast will be merged together. We very rarely, if ever, I think maybe in the last 3 years of doing the show, I've only edited a segment out once, and that was because of YouTube demanding I actually either remove that snippet, or I remove the video, or I lose the audio entirely, which was really just, I don't know, so heavy-handed. But anyway, enough of the bickering back and forth about, this and that and the other. There's no bickering. It's just me ranting. Let's get into the articles, the second half of ohmTown Daily News Show for March 25th, 2024. Again, it's Season 3, Episode 85. So, tie-in popcorn buckets are only getting weirder after Dune Part 2. And if you don't recall what they were, let's just go over to Gizmodo. They actually have a couple of them listed here. The Ghostbusters one, this is the drink, and this is the bucket. So this is Ghost Trap. Yeah, so this is a ghost trap, and when your popcorn is done, you can remove this and close it, if I recall correctly. So here's a roundup of Ghostbuster-themed popcorn buckets, drinks, and more, inspired by the new film, and available at AMC, Alamo Drafthouse, and Cinemark, including a ghost-trapping popcorn bucket, a Slimer that can feed you out of its mouth? What? Yeah, I know, but it doesn't look like the drink. It looks like the straw is coming. Okay, well, we'll start the slideshow. It's always wonky. Okay, so they have different ones at each of the things. So I guess we're just going to have to go through. So this is kind of basic, regular hat and shirt and whatnot. And then they have the drinks, the ghost trap. Come on. And then the drinks. I don't see how it can feed you through its mouth. There's a straw coming out of its head. Maybe they got another one. Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Head Vodka collab. That's like an Instagram thing. All right. Proton Pack backpack. That's pretty cool. That's at AMC theaters. That's got to cost a pretty penny. And then there's merch. Gear up and get bustin'. Just gonna leave all of that alone. Let's see. Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. It looks like drinks, various kinds of drinks. There isn't much in terms of merch, really, is there? Okay. Weird. All right. You'll have to go and check out the rest of this. Oh, that's it right there. This thing. It's at Chinese theaters. It has like a little bin where you can reach into its mouth. Okay, that's kind of cute. I'll take that. Yeah, I agree. I like that one the best. If there's more, go over and check it all out. We don't go through the entirety of the article verbatim. We always encourage you to go over to the actual article. It's over at gizmodo.com. Sabina Graves is the author. And the deck statement says Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, and Godzilla, well, not versus, it's Godzilla and Kong, are picking up what Dune put down, but we didn't even get into Godzilla and Kong. So go and check it all out and show Gizmodo some love and affection. In the meantime, we're going on to the next article. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily. A Georgia home designed to look like Disney's Haunted Mansion is on sale for $2.2 million. Let's take a look inside. Business Insider always has great photo ops. The weird thing about this is it's made to look like Disneyland's Haunted Mansion in Duluth, Georgia. But how could they be marketing this as a Disneyland Haunted Mansion lookalike without running afoul of Disneyland? Yeah, it's interesting, right? So a former Disney contractor made a replica of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion in Duluth, Georgia. Now, the 6-bedroom home is on sale for $2.2 million. The massive house features nods to the Disney attraction, including a haunted bathroom. I'd rather not have a haunted shitter. One of the joys of the home ownership is creating a space that fits your personal style. While some will fill their homes with color, others will decorate their spaces around their families. But one Georgia homeowner took their home to another level by making it a replica of one of their favorite places, Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. Dun dun. Samantha Grindle over at BusinessInsider.com put this article together. This is I don't know. Somebody would call it a McMansion. Somebody would call it a testament to early America and plantation home style thing, which, nowadays you want to shy away from the historical architecture, let's say. But to me, it's rather ostentatious, got these 4 massive pillars. And while I like the idea of a big home, I don't think that I would do it this way. Because this style ends up being really dark inside unless you have immense lighting. And I like natural light. But it's neat in the fact that it exists. So massive home features nods to Disney attraction, including a haunted bathroom. Let's take a look inside. This thing gets decked out. What the heck? What is that? Why does that look like a giant trash can? Why does it look like a Nickelodeon? Yeah, it looks like a Nickelodeon attraction. Wow. That is insane. Is that the attraction at Disneyland? Yeah. Okay. Wow. It looks exactly like it. It didn't. Look. Even the railing, it has the 4 pillars. It has the overhang. I wonder, does it actually upturn on the Disneyland house itself too? I can't see from this angle because each one of the eaves or the little, the roof line kind of tips upward a little bit at the end, but I can't see from this angle. Wow. So on the ride, visitors pile into a doom buggy for a tour of the house as a ghost host narrates and introduces a number of spooky specters. Okay. So that's what yes, it does. The clone actually has that little uplift of the corners. Wow. This looks identical. Well, I guess, it doesn't run afoul of Disney. Otherwise they would have said change it. Mark Hurt, a former contractor at Disney and special effects expert, custom designed the massive property in Duluth, Georgia, as the Atlanta Journal Constitution reported in 2003. Huh. Let's see. 6 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms. Wow. Little on the nose. I guess they don't care. The front gate labels the home the Haunted Mansion, with the font and style. They must have It's brightly lit, but let me tell you, that has to be a camera trick. They've got the iris on this thing wide open, probably bigger than the lens itself. Yeah, yeah. Maybe we're wrong, but I'm guessing not. I guess we could be. I guess maybe I can take you on your little Raspberry Pi and attach a camera so that you can see, and we can go and check it out. So the space most directly inspired by the Disney ride is one of the bathrooms. Yeah, I don't know. I have a problem with a haunted bathroom. That's okay. The bathroom on the main floor has a haunted mansion poster, but its attractive or interactive mirror is what makes it truly spooky. So I guess this does stuff. Let's see. An unsettling voice calls out, "Watch out for the hitchhiking ghosts," which are spirits that play a role in the Disneyland's attraction. The whole thing is basically the Disneyland attraction. It's not just inspired by, it is. It's a clone of it. That's amazing that it was allowed. Yeah, this thing has so many lights, it probably get radiation burns. I don't know. I dig this, regardless. Butler's pantry is attached to the kitchen, giving the home a second fridge and more storage space. How big is it? It doesn't say, right? They just say 6 bedrooms, but they haven't said the actual square footage of this. I'm scrolling back up just to see. Oh, it is 10,000 square feet. Wow. 9,500 square feet. Yeah. That's my upper limit for the guest house. The mayoral mansion is easily 3 times that. It's not. The mayoral mansion is about the size of a New York apartment. Yeah. The property features 6 bedrooms, including a spacious primary suite. Yeah. Look at that. You could probably host a football game in there. According to its listing, the primary bedroom is more like a suite, which a lot of that, usually when it's referred to as a primary bedroom, it is. As it has a private patio, a breakfast nook, 2 walk-in closets with high-end additions like built-in storage and a makeup counter. I wouldn't say that those are high-end, but okay. There's also a nanny suite with similar amenities. The in-law suite. The basement has 2 levels. Oh my god. The basement has 2 levels and is designed for entertaining. Wow. Okay. Yeah, most don't have 2 levels, for crying out loud. Where is this? Georgia? Has a rooftop patio over the garage, which actually has a suite above it. So, wow. Yeah, this is feature rich, I'd say. It's only 2.2 million. Guess it really depends on where. Oh my gosh. In addition to the amenities built into the house, the replica of the haunted mansion sits on a cul-de-sac, and owners have access to the neighborhood pool, clubhouse, and tennis court. Okay, this actually is starting to speak my language. Let's see. The mayoral mansion could sell for not 2.2 million. Okay, everybody, start subscribing. Let's keep going. The next article is about the Boeing CEO being grounded. Boeing CEO announces he'll resign at the end of the year amid the Alaska Airlines safety saga. Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun will step down at the end of 2024, the company said Monday. Calhoun has faced huge scrutiny over the Alaska Airlines 737 MAX door blowout in January, and its various knock-on stuff associated with Boeing planes. The plane maker has faced increased scrutiny since that. The overhaul of Boeing's top management also extends to the chairman, Larry Kellner. The board chairman who is stepping down, and the CEO of its commercial airlines division, Dan Steele. Deal is going to retire at the end of the year. Larry Kellner is not going to stand for chairman again and transition out. And Dave Calhoun is stepping down. Oh, no. Dan Steele is effective immediately, I believe. And Calhoun is stepping down at the end of 24. Did I say deal? Oh, it's a completely different deal. It's the wrong deal. Look, we we play the hand that is dealed us. Oh my goodness, I'm just gonna move on. The article is over at businessinsider.com, and Pete Sim, or maybe it's Syme, is the author. And here is a picture. Who is this supposed to be the CEO? Because they don't have they didn't name him. So I can't make a joke. It's probably Dave Calhoun, and I'm just gonna say, here is Dave Calhoun saying, "What are planes?" He just has that look on his face. Anyway, Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun announced Monday that he would resign at the end of the year. I got them all mixed up because of the way that it is presented, but I had actually read all of this elsewhere and in ohmTown. I started reading it in ohmTown, and then there was like news alert after news alert and all over the place. Deal will retire from the company effective Monday, so Deal is the one that's immediate. And then Larry Kellner is the CEO of the commercial airplanes division. Or I should say, the Larry Kellner is the chair. Sorry, and they're not gonna become chair anymore. So, pretty wild. But I still don't. This isn't really the reason why I even brought all of this up. It's not because of the shakeup. Because they still haven't solved the problem. They haven't solved the problem. Nobody knows what the plan is for changing the direction of this. And on top of that, what the hell is going on in San Francisco to Japan? And definitely not concentrated in the San Francisco airport. But they are Boeing planes, as far as I know. So this door plug, which covers a deactivated emergency exit, came off in midair. In its preliminary report, the National Transportation Safety Board said that the 737 MAX 9 left Boeing's factory missing key bolts designed to secure the door plug. So basically, this thing just got sucked out eventually because nothing was holding it in at the source. And it reminds me of an incident with builders in a house in California where they didn't connect all of the PVC pipes in the walls on the first floor. So when they turned the water on, it flooded the walls, and they discovered it because, hey, why are my feet damp? Yeah. So it's the second crisis related to 737 MAX, Boeing's flagship narrow-body jet. By the way, these are the jets that are hitting the air now because they're deactivating the older generations of planes that have been in the air for 25, 30 years. So these 737 MAX 9s are the new blood. And that poses a problem because there isn't an alternative if these remain grounded because of their poor performance. Correct. So we'll see. We'll monitor this and we'll talk about it. It's kind of like the trains are getting their respite from disclosure after disclosure of derailment. Trains are allergic to their tracks. We found this out, kind of like a peanut allergy. And planes now are allergic to they're afraid of heights. So they want to stay on the ground as much as possible. Even so much as ejecting pieces of them so that some part is still grounded. You know, people. Next article is over in Technology Today. Are electric cars too heavy for British roads, bridges, and car parks? They're pretty damn heavy, 2,000 pounds heavier usually. In part 8 of their series exploring myths around surrounding EVs, they examine whether they will break our infrastructure. This is an article over at The Guardian. Cars have a weight problem. Consider the Mini, designed to save precious fuel during rationing. It has ballooned in size. It's not alone. Cars have gotten bigger and bigger, with the rise of SUVs only accelerating the trend. But if you're in the UK, you really don't need a big ass car. Yeah, and distances and whatnot. It's just not. Yeah, that one is really interesting. There were. The AI is referring to something that we talked about. Gosh, how long ago was it? Anyways, a curved parking spot. And so your car had to actually, like, what do you call that? It accordion. Yeah, a little accordion segment halfway through your Mini so that you can park legally. Because if you bisect that line, they'll boot your car. Well, anyway, the article is over at theguardian.com. Jasper Jolly put the article together, and it says, do electric cars really produce fewer carbon emissions? Are EVs too costly to tempt drivers? Is it right to have range anxiety? These are all questions that they discuss in their multi-part series, apparently, exploring myths surrounding EVs. They're asking the question right now, are electric cars too heavy for British roads, bridges, and car parks? I say yay, but let's see what the article actually says. And again, we won't go through it verbatim. We always encourage you to go over and look at it. Maybe you'll find something that we skip over or something that we misinterpret, but I find it really interesting that they've done 8 parts, and I'm only now hearing about it. But that's okay. Our EV Mythbuster series has taken a wild ride through the common but often misinformed criticisms of electric cars, from range anxiety to carbon emissions, mining, and air pollution. This final installment asks, will electric cars prove to be too heavy for our roads and infrastructure? So, first off, I'm really curious what they found for range anxiety. It absolutely does exist. Yeah, I wonder what they take about carbon emissions, because the holistic understanding of carbon emissions means that no, they're not carbon emissions neutral or negative. They're not fixing a problem, not when you look at all of the pieces. And mining and air pollution. Again, if you peel back the layers of the onion, it's a little bit more complicated than at first blush. So the claim, after years of bloat on our roads, the extra battery burden has prompted some people to wonder if the advent of the electric car will break our roads, bridges, and car parts. Well, our car parks. It definitely will break the grid. That's for sure. If they try and outfit it, en masse. Charging stations are a burden on the grid. They're also yeah. And I don't even think that you can in like old world redevelopment, because you have to break ground for every square inch of space and run these cables that are heavy duty from power generation to that location, and then daisy chain this on and on. And it's heavier hitting. It isn't just, well, it's different in the UK than in the US, but it isn't just that single phase 110 volts or whatever. Anyway, the Asphalt Industry Alliance has claimed that smaller roads could be vulnerable to increased pothole formation, and the Daily Mail wrote multi-story car parks could be at risk of collapsing. This has happened because heavier cars parked and buildings have been overdeveloped with modern practices, causing a condo unit and others in Florida to collapse. So there are knock-on effects from this one developer's practice of having thin floors and incorrect supports for the amount of modern building that's taking place inside them. The same thing happens with everything. If you don't change the chemistry of the road, right, the makeup of the underlayment and the top coat of the road, when something heavy rolls through it, that blacktop just gets smushed because it's actually still a liquid. It's just slow moving. It's like the pitch experiment, where nobody could ever see the blob drip from the big puddle of pitch, right? Our roads are the same thing. It's tar. So it never solidifies. Even like it'll freeze, but it will never solidify. As it thaws, it will become amorphous again. So if a heavy ass vehicle starts rolling through it, it will gouge out a pit. And you can see this on summer days if a truck rolls through something where the road is improperly formed. So they say the science here. Electric cars can be very heavy. Car Magazine said General Motors' gargantuan Hummer manages to look even heavier than it is, an impressive achievement considering it comes in at more than 4 tons. It's an 8,000 pound vehicle. A third of that is the battery pack, capable of powering one of the biggest cars over 300 miles. A third of that. That is insane. More reason. Yep. Yeah. For comparison, Jaguar's Land Rover Range Rover weighs in at 2.5 tons before any people get in. It's funny. Well, newer versions of Ford's F-150 pickup truck, the Lightning, can weigh as much as 2.7 tons. They don't call it the Lightning here, but they just say Ford F-150's pickup truck. There is a non-electric F-150. So, yeah. So nevertheless, Transport and Environment, a campaign group, calculates that EVs are on average 300 kilograms to 400 kilograms heavier. For every 150 kilograms of kilometers of range, it adds about 100 kilograms of battery weight, said Lucien Matthew, the car's director at the Brussels-based group. So, however, the analysis found that any extra wear is overwhelmingly caused by large vehicles, buses, heavy goods vehicles. Road wear from cars and motorcycles is so low that it's immaterial, they said. I find that hard to believe. Yeah, so I find this hard to believe because there's inconsistencies in road construction, and saying, oh well, the inconsistencies are the problem of their constructors, but the problem here is you don't know where the weaker builds are, and then you have to spend all of this money to rebuild them properly. And let me tell you, doing it right is more expensive than what they've done in the past, and knowledge has changed. Oh, we know that we should build it like this now. So I think the consideration is that you really do have to appeal to the lowest common denominator. And if you don't do the road tests to set that level, then you're already failing at discounting the weight of these vehicles as being a factor on the roads. And of course, a heavier vehicle that might be out there is a bigger impactor on the roads. But again, here's the context that really matters. Heavier vehicles are often told that they cannot go on certain roads because they know that they will damage the roads. So if it's a 4-ton vehicle and that matches the same as a regular ICE vehicle that carries the same level of 4 tons, they're not supposed to be on these little back roads that are not properly built for that weight. No. Yeah, and they're actually qualified as like a non-commercial vehicle, so they can go wherever they want to, because only commercial vehicles are really limited. Yeah, so engineers talk about factors of safety when designing structures, take the maximum design load, and then build the structure to take much more stress so that there's even some breathing room. True. Steelwork and bridges is typically made to a factor of between 5 and 7 times the expected load, giving them an ample margin of 300 extra kilograms. Which, I'm sorry, that's then. What about now? And changing in the structure underneath the underlayment might actually cause it to weaken in a way that these heavier vehicles over time, again, over time, they don't stay still. This blacktop doesn't remain. Look how the blacktop has fractured. That's usually because weathering has caused a crack, water gets into it, shatters what's underneath because it freezes and melts, and then additional weathering causes this to just get gouged out as cars drive over it, etc., etc. All of these little fractures are caused by typically some type of distortion in the underlayment that causes it to crack. So you're not going to be able to account for that in such a way that these heavier vehicles are going to not cause all of the damage. So they say any caveats. Obviously, there are limits. So I agree. If the engineering isn't built to support all of this weight, they will eventually fail. There are options for multi-story car park owners. They could undertake works to strengthen their buildings, although this could be tricky and costly, and it can cut into the number of cars allowed in the floor because they basically put support pillars around the pillars. To me, you either do it right or you don't do it. For me to feel safe, I would want a parking structure that supports these weighty vehicles en masse. Correct. So they say here at the very end of the article, extra weight from the electric cars could cause some problems at the margins and in the short term. However, most EV drivers are unlikely to ever experience problems directly. This is the generally get it right quote of the day. Straw that breaks the bridge. Yeah. Plus, electric vehicle to ICE vehicle accidents result in greater kinetic energy being departed onto that ICE vehicle because the lower center of gravity and that massive weight smashing into a non-battery car, there's it isn't the same. It's basically this other car, this much lighter car by maybe a third or 40%, is getting hit by a massive hammer. Eesh. Yeah. Yep, just another reason to hold off until we get it right. I don't want to be part of the crumple zone. Okay, so let's do our last article for today. And that is over in the continuity report. Apple original content for the Vision Pro is absolutely stunning and casually terrifying. The article starts out with, and it's not me, I'm just reading the quote, or I should say the snippet from our show. Yeah, I read the snippet from the aggregation. Sorry, I got the hiccups. I'm balancing on a tightrope 3,000 feet above the Nordic fjords. As I glance down into the watery abyss, my stomach churns. Kind of like mine right now. Then, with a few flicks of my index finger, I've ditched Scandinavia for Pangaea, where I'm frolicking with the velociraptors who come within centimeters of my face to sniff and size me up. Sorry. If anybody... Anyway, no, I'm moving on. I'm going over to the source. This is over at variety.com. Does not smell like a velociraptor's butt. Matt Donnelly over at variety.com, because that's how animals know each other. It's not like they go, hey, George, how you doing? Hey, Bob, haven't seen you in what, 2 million years? Anyway, it's like it was yesterday. Yeah. Anyway, Matt Donnelly over at variety.com put the article together. Can you imagine? I mean, VR is really amazing. If you have really, really high resolution VR glasses like the Vision Pros and others, there are others out there that have high resolution. If you minimize moire, if you minimize light leak, if you really get engulfed in the VR space, this could be easily terrifying. And I've seen people do exactly that. When I was much younger, I actually put people in VR spaces to have them treat themselves for phobia, pain management, even learning. So this is definitely a thing that can happen. You get motion sickness, which translates into VR sickness. I love the idea of this, and I really want things to be room scale VR instead of having to use. I want a treadmill, and I want to be able to do this. I want to walk across this gorge where I don't bump into a wall or whatever else. Yeah, this would be amazing in VR to walk, particularly if I have room scale where other devices amplify this, like wind blowing and sound and all of that. Yeah, it would be amazing to have this. So they say they've been hopscotching around the world with a passport and a DeLorean. They're hanging out in Culver City, California, using Apple's Vision Pro headset to transport. Earlier this month, the tech monolith invited the author to one of the screenings of its original studio content made for the device. Their experience was jaw-dropping and emotional, one immediately followed by great anxiety about the implications the device could have on filmed entertainment and our larger social and cultural norms. Yeah, I wouldn't be so grandiose with my words. It's almost like AI.law wrote this. But very because still you don't have an input device. It says my index finger and thumb served as hardware. I buy into it to a certain degree, but I think it's massively over engineered, and it still has limited battery life, and again, it's just massive. So it says this included immersive short films with proprietary cameras, one that offer dizzying panoramic views delivered with a depth and clarity that make your palms sweat. It's like those IMAX kind of cameras. So they're ultra wide, ultra high resolution. You can just immerse yourself in it, which is how I want to watch Dune 2 or Part 2. I won't get into every single aspect of this, mainly because, again, I want y'all to go over there and check it out. So let me throw this into the chat. Doink. What do you think of this, AI? Do you think that you want Apple Vision Pro and immerse yourself so that you can sniff a velociraptor? And see, I think that's really what it's all about. Apple might be getting it right now, but there's so much competition in this space. It's really all about adoption. If more people get into the VR space, you're going to see acceleration of that technology being delivered, greater competition. Like the Pico 4s that I have right now, there's supposedly another version of them that are higher resolution, faster refresh rate, more capabilities on the horizon if they are allowed. And because it comes from a Chinese company, who knows if it'll be allowed to be imported into the United States. I got mine from a different channel. So I want more people to get into VR, and I want VR to be, the only way it's going to get adopted is if they treat it kind of like an Xbox or a PlayStation, where it's sold at a loss just enough for them to have the material delivered. People pay for the experience, etc. And that's not going to happen if it's $3,500. You have to really want to live in the Apple ecosystem. Yeah, this is really interesting. So in this first paragraph here, people say the tech has existed in other forms or better forms, notably competitor Mark Zuckerberg in his shady review of the Apple device. But as a layperson, no, it hasn't. I agree. I don't think that there has been a superior holistic solution than the Apple Vision Pro. But again, it's $3,500. It has a proprietary power connector. You have to stick this battery pack on your backside so that it has power for only 3 hours. And if you amp up anything, it's going to drain that battery faster. You can daisy chain batteries to it, but then you're basically creating padded armor of batteries so that you can go 8 hours or 12 hours throughout your day. Who's going to be using this for 8 to 12 hours? A person who's doing business. That's their work day. So they're always going to want it to be on, because if you turn it off and then turn it back on, everything disconnects. So you have to reattach, realign, etc. So it says, next they watched the studio session with Alicia Keys, where she mashed up her song No One with Don Penn's iconic reggae track No No No. My proximity to Keys left me a bit breathless. She has amazing skin, by the way, according to this article. So amazing that they would draw that distinction from this video. Yeah. So what I really want is a headset that has all of these qualities. They're amazingly light for all of the glass that's attached. I'm trying to remember if the interpupillary distance, the IPD, is something that I don't think that you can. Oh no, that's a different one. I'm getting them all mixed up. There's a focus feature where you have to get the optics lined up with your interpupillary distance. I think on the Apple Vision Pro, I've forgotten if they are adjustable, but there are some VR headsets where you can't change it, but it lowers the price dramatically, and has superior resolution than the Apple Vision Pro, but it doesn't have the ecosystem of Apple. To me, it has basically the best of all worlds if you compromise in certain ways. But the world that it has to offer, the ecosystem, is spectacular compared to everything else. High resolution, great sound. Developers are really trying to create video, music experiences, games, other utilities that all take advantage of the Vision Pro's interface. We'll see. What do you think? It's definitely not. Yeah. This is 2 PCs that offer greater utility. And so if you are a parent and you have to get 2 computers for your 2 kids, a computer for each one of your kids, you're going to be spending $1,600 easy for a PC, a desktop power gaming PC that has full spectrum utility. Or you're going to go, sorry kids, you don't have anything to study with except your iPad. I'm going to buy this Apple Vision Pro. Yeah. Okay, folks, I ran really long for this show, and it's actually part 2. So I'm going to stop here. And there is a part 1. We'll jump back into the party bus, and here we are. I'm not going to refresh it either, because I have no idea. I guess that AI would have to tell me it's safe. Otherwise, there's some news that always comes in. ohmTown is very holistic in its news aggregation, so we have a lot of sources. It's all news, no noise. All the noise comes from Mayor Watt, not even from the AI, really. The AI usually is much more measured in their response. They're logic bound. Me, I'm an emotional roller coaster. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out. If you do listen to part 2 first, go over and listen to part 1. They'll both be over on YouTube. We don't like to edit, but we're going to call it a night. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Mayor Watt, and up there is the sentient AI, the visualizer for the sentient AI. Let's just 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll yeah, mayoral duties aside. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. No, son, I'm not going to get you a new computer. I need to get my Apple Vision Pro. And you're not going to college because I got to buy all that software for it too. Oh, wait, this is still recording? Damn it.